So if you start living your life as if this is how it's always going to be, and you actually start living into the life that you want to live in the future, there's just so much love uh, in your life because you live your life to the fullest. And I don't think we understand the power of that because oftentimes we're geared towards efficiency. As I was, telling in that story of how we just really enjoyed our space, just we really loved coming into it, and settling in to your life, where as if that's a space you're going to stay in for indefinitely. You can't predict the future, whatever it is. Maybe you will go into something new, and we have desire for growth and progress, but we don't necessarily get to do that. That's not necessarily our choice. And so, one of the key things that we learn as we learn fully into this life, then we make the most of that life in the present moment. And you just start loving that life because you invest into it and you start having the kind of experiences that you really want. The future projections that we have those future projections because we actually have those needs right now. It's like when you say, oh well, I want in the future I want to be able to do this. I want to, like, if let's say for instance you want to have more money, and if you say, if someone were to ask you, well, why do you want to have more money, it's probably because you have certain needs that you need met now, and you'll probably say, oh, because I want more freedom. That means you want more freedom now. Or you might say, because I want to be able to travel more, and probably you want to travel more right now. Or it's like, oh, you're like, I want more luxury, like I want like a more of a luxurious experience. I want more convenience. I want more growth. Whatever it is, your need. So what we try and do is we sacrifice the present moment for the future, and actually delayed gratification, sacrificing some of today for tomorrow is important. And kind of like the same idea as working hard so that you can grow, right? Or saving money. But if you were to save all the money and you weren't and just it's all for the future, it's really draining on your life, and you have no love and joy in your life right now. And so you need to find a balance point where you really enjoy the life you live today. And the question is, if all of a sudden you were to die today, like, something unexpected happened, are you happy with that balance, with how much you're saving? It's kind of interesting because, you know, we say, live your life. You get kind of the advice, and the common advice that you give is that live your life as if you're gonna die tomorrow. And that oftentimes sounds like you're not going to have a future. And if you don't have a future, you might want to go and spend all the money you have and have the most extravagant experience that you have ever. And that doesn't work. You can't live a sustainable life. It's just, I think what's beautiful about life is that it's unexpected. We don't know when we're gonna go, and that's like a really beautiful thing because it allows us to actually strike a balance. It allows us to actually see what kind of life we want to live and grow into. But what we find out is that that life that we want to grow into is actually not really that different from the life we want to live today. And that's the beautiful, and that's the whole concept of cultivation, and that's the whole idea of living your purpose, and it's really all the same thing. And so, if we take the perspective of a different perspective, a more balanced perspective, where it's not about sacrifice yourself now so you can have a better life later, because it is very true. They're both true wisdoms. The people that say, well, you're not going to live forever, enjoy your life today, they're basically acknowledging the fact that life is fleeting and it's precious. But it's also true that if you sacrifice it all now, as if you were to die tomorrow, then tomorrow, when tomorrow comes around, you're gonna have lots of regrets because you still have to pay your bills and you still have to feed yourself or your family and so on and so forth. And then if you sacrifice everything now, where there's no joy in life, but when you retire later, you're going to have lots of freedom and you're going to have some security and you don't have to worry about your later life. Well, that's not exactly the best life either, because What if you were to, all of a sudden go? What was it all for? You lived your life just to save up, if you will, right? And so living for the future doesn't work. And living for the fleeting moment, for just this very moment, doesn't work either. Then what works? That's really the question. Then what works? And uh, what I like to say is we want to live for the person who we are. And what that means is that we live our life where today we are becoming the person we want to be. And becoming the person we want to be is actually being more of who you want to be today. So it's not actually becoming someone who you're not. And so you can't be like, well, I have all these problems, and so, I need to become someone else. That's not really the idea. But it's kind of like, I'm someone who actually loves these things. And it's going to be many different things. And I'm someone who has these needs, and you want to know what those are. And it will probably take you some time to find out what those are. But once you identify one, then you live your life today where that need is met as best as you can. And you keep doing that, and you keep investing into yourself and those people around you on those things that allow you to be happy today. But you also account for that you're gonna be growing. And so what you'll find out is that actually the reason we want to save up a whole lot of money is because we don't know who we are. So we want to have so much money that we can experiment once we have enough to experiment with. Um, but in reality, you can find out in small ways today. Like, if, let's say, for instance, some people say, well, that's not possible. I like really luxurious things and I need money for that. If that's the case, well, some bringing in small amounts of luxury where you can. Create a budget where you can save up, and eventually in the future, you can have that life in the future. But starting today, see what kind of luxury you can bring in within your means. And you'll be surprised, actually. You'll be surprised what you can do today. And if you invest in today and you settle in as if this is the life that you're going to live for the rest of your life, and you start bringing in as much heaven into it as possible, and then you start living today as if you're already in your future as much as possible, then you will start loving your life. And all of a sudden, that becomes the most efficient and most productive life that you can imagine.